There we go.
Hey, bud. Hey, Wonder Woman.
Is your cat named Wonder Woman?
No.
Oh. I'm lost.
I'm just talking about the chat.
Oh, the chat.
We see Wonder Woman, we see Bongo, we see... Hi, Naomi.
Shows how much I'm paying attention, huh?
Yeah, I play both of them, JN. I play both of them.
She sounds like she's burping when she does that, didn't she, babe? So the dog was making noises, and it sounded like she was burping.
Yeah, I get good hits. If you scroll down, you'll see I get tremendous hits on my... Well, not tremendous, but good hits. My freaking... the ones over 1,000 hits are freaking taken down from freaking Take-Two Interactive. Wait, thank you, Take-Two Interactive. You ruined my life. Those are really good streams. But, unfortunately, it didn't work out. Oh, that's an old ringtone. Yeah. I remember that.
I'm just too lazy to change it.
Oh, I just got your message.
Be honest about that.
Just got your message, Sarah. So okay.
Tour leader. Tour leader.
I was just going down there.
Yeah, they're glitching in this one, John.
Yeah, it took a while for me to beat Kylo Ren. I finally got him. Yeah, I noticed that.
No, I got dragged across the map.
Yeah, there's some weird shit. Stuff going on.
Back and forth.
Oh, I love Kylo Ren.
Oh, yeah, my ex.
Copyright.
Let me get.
Because you know what? This is about breakups now. And breakups suck ass. We can all agree on that.
It's a trouble story. I was fighting my a friend, and it turned out, or an enemy, and it turned out to be my father. Asked me to join him. I jumped down a hole.
Damn, that is a whole other podcast altogether there, John. Damn, that is pretty deep there. I kind of like that. Oh man, that is just.
Actually, I'm using Ray. So I was looking for my parents, and it turned out one was a drunk, and they were nobodies. I'm never gonna find them.
Oh my God. Hi, Blood. What's up, man? The boss is vanished. What happened? You are the boss. Brooke, what happened?
Hey, Ronta.
Major, oh yeah, and I agree with you, Major. Hi, Pearl.
Hell, stop jumping about for literally 2 seconds.
You are the best BLT ever, Brooke.
She's going to the back of my sofa,
don't
jumping off the sofa onto the floor, but before she does it, she's screaming, and then she's jumping.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's well, that's all right.
You're gonna fall dodgy soon. You're gonna knock yourself out. You know what? I'm gonna leave you there.
And she's gonna bend her finger back like that. She's gonna be laying on the ground. Mommy. Sorry about that.
Oh, she just don't stop.
Mommy,
it's like, you know when you wind your toy up, and then just keep going and going and going until the toy stops winding. Well, this is like a never-ending one. It just don't fucking stop.
Oh my God. Oh, that's great. Who the hell bought that? Who bought that? You bought it, didn't you? You bought it, didn't you? Because you hesitated to answer. You bought it. And now you're paying the freaking price. I knew she bought it because she didn't answer right away. Well, you know, hey.
That's okay.
It happens. Hey, Ghost Joker. I know. Him and I Heart Woodworking. How you doing? Welcome back, man. And Jody Bogan. I love Jody. Good, man. What's up, Token?
Pearl, come here.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about breakups today. Breakups suck. So, you know, everybody's got stories.
Nope, I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh, I got way too many stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say hi to everyone. Say hi, mate. Why you growling?
That's the product
Why
of
do you sound so angry?
Hey, what's up, fish? And let's... what's up, pun? Aw. You guys are too much. Wait a minute now. Hold on. Let me see if I can do this right. Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can do this right. What it says. Just prepare for the echo real quick. Don't everybody give me 1 moment of silence except for Pearl. All right. I'm doing good, pun. Oh, whoops, sorry. Oh, damn it. I was messing around with my mods this morning. I can't, for some reason, it's not letting me mod anybody. So don't, just hold your horses. But anyway, how you doing, Pun? What's up, Fish? Make sure to check out Dr. Fish. And Big Pun's a good man. I love that motherfucker.
I popped into Dr. Fish's stream like 2 days ago, I think it was.
Yeah, Fish is a different type of streamer. He brings it like nobody else. And I found him entertaining. I don't know how the hell I found Fish, but all the way up. So let's take a look. We're going to take a look at freaking breakups because his breakups suck. I'm going back to let me go back to the party now so I can see my line. Now, this is going to be interesting. Ladies first. So in line, what about you? So Sarah.
So that means that you have to go first, right?
Me? I'll go first.
I'm just messing with you.
I do have hair that ladies would die for, so that's alright. Here's about breakups, walks away slowly. Yeah, I hear that goes, sugar. Sure that. But you got a notification I blocked someone in the stream? Huh?
What?
Wait.
Like you have a little boy? That's weird. Well, you can DM me, Mommy T. I don't know. That's weird. Because I was messing with it earlier, and I don't know if I think I saved it. I don't remember.
Yeah, I gotta be quiet on the breaking up thing. I mean, I don't really have any bad stories, especially now.
What do you mean you gotta be quiet? No, you're not. No, you're first. You know what? No.
Yeah.
You're first
let him
now.
be first.
Now you just did it yourself. Now John's done. Now tell us a little bit about it. Now come on, you got a story in here.
Oh, of course. I think everybody does. I don't know.
What
You learn from your breakups.
Give me a stinger. I want a stinger.
It's one of those things where you live and learn. And that's about as far as I'm getting into it.
No. You need to see the pictures.
You gotta go more than that. Come on.
Come on, darling.
Come on. Open up now. Open up. Breathe.
No.
You're okay.
You do.
Yeah, it's just not happening.
Will we do it? No, he doesn't want to do it. See?
No, I don't really have anything bad to say about anything either. Yeah, breakups suck, man. Especially when you know, if you invest a lot of time and after that time's ended, you know, it changes your life a lot. Good ways and bads. It just depends on how you handle it from there, you know. You don't want to make the same mistakes and just life.
We'll want to see why that's perfect. That's a great outlook. That's a great filler, folks. And he's
I mean, I'm friends with most of my exes, even really most of them. I don't hold grudges, you know. Usually I'll say, I was an asshole. Which is usually the case. Usually
I don't either. I've had a lot of bad instances.
I mean, like my last relationship, we broke up, and I didn't even realize we were together for 2 years. I mean, that's how much I pay attention anymore, really.
Well, good for you.
Yeah. What about you, Ninja? What do you think about all this?
We know about your girlfriend with your cousin.
Oh my god.
Not his not like you kept it in the family type deal. But his cousin hitting on his girlfriend. I want to find out how that relationship ended.
What the hell?
I want to hear how that relationship ended after that one. Put him on the spot.
What's he doing? Come on, Devo. What's your take on all this? Don't pretend that don't pretend you're making eggs or something. Or you're off away. He's in there. John probably sees him moving around on the screen. John, where's he doing?
He's busy fighting.
He can talk when he fights.
You gotta understand, it's very intense sword battles here.
Who's getting their ass kicked? You or him?
Me. Well, I usually get my ass kicked. He's a good gamer. I'm pretty lousy.
Your last breakup was 21 years ago. Wow, Mommy and T. That's a good long stretch there. You and Daddy and T there. And yes, the person will... Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing that happens, Brooke. You know, people, you know, kind of hold these thoughts in their head that think that, like, if you threaten yourself, that'll make the other person stay. And that's a great point to bring up. You know, I haven't even gotten to the bullet point.
Oh,
I haven't even gotten to the first.
Gary.
Don't get pregnant to think you're gonna keep them, or vice versa.
I know, Gary, and if you want to come in, Gary, feel free, obviously, to come in. And you don't have to talk about it, but if you want to come in, you know, you got
actually, I could talk about my kid's mother. She won't say nothing.
Well, what about it? Talk. We're waiting for you.
Well, when I had my kid, I was young. My kid's mother, you know, she was 27, I was 19, and she was pretty sexy for her time. You know, definitely.
Damn, she was a cougar.
Yeah, she was pretty hot. Yeah, she turned out to be a mess. You know, she grew up to be. Have issues of her own.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that either.
Alright, that's all
It's not my fault, I swear.
So,
Are you sure about that?
okay.
Well, no, I'm not 100%
start with
sure.
ladies first. The men want to go, and then they defer.
Yep.
So let's go back to the ladies. All right. So eyeliner money.
Yes.
Miss Sarah. What is starting from Panzer, come over here. I need you on stream here. So starting, I think the biggest thing about breakups is your coping mechanisms. I think that when it happens to you, you're in shock, and it's different stages. You know what I mean? Like, what is like? Give us an example of like a breakup that kind of like affected you, and not so much like that it has to affect you, but kind of for what it really taught you a lesson. What was that one relationship that you were like, wow, I learned so much from that person. I'm almost glad I went through that pain, because that's sometimes I think how we all feel.
We were like way back in high school. It was like, you thought that person was gonna be like the one and the only one and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
And like, even though we're like 2 grades apart, because I was a freshman and then he was a senior in college. No, college, no, girl.
Whoa!
wait. Whoops.
Well, hey, I mean,
Whoops. Get back on the gurney.
You're right. Go on, buddy. You're good.
Thinking, he's a one and everything, but I think you started noticing like like you started growing up, you don't even know if it was love or lust, or you didn't know, you were still young, in other words, you didn't know what was going on. And so like, even though like you tried and everything to sort things out, like, oh, we can do this, we can do that, but it's like, in the end it's not, because you guys are both separate, and it's like
Right.
they have different personalities, like later on in life, that high school is like, just barely developing, and it's like, dude, this guy was awesome, but it was never meant to be. So like, I had to let it go.
Which sucks too, because like when you find someone that you click with, it's good to hang on to that. But I think that sometimes that's a problem in the end too. I think people try to hold on to that too much, and then that kind of becomes like the codependency between. I've noticed I was in a couple of relationships that they lasted a long time. Most of my relationships do, but like it was almost to the point where it was just codependency. It was almost like we were settling for each other, I think, because we weren't really happy with each other. We were happy, but we weren't happy as happy as we both could have been. And it sucks. But then, you part your ways. But then you learn from those long relationships, you really take a lot out of those. You really
absolutely.
Do. You really take a lot out of that. I mean, like, what about you, Lisa? What do you, if Lisa is in the house, she may be I know she is.
I find some of the things in life you wind up taking for granted. And in a relationship, you tend to do it, especially a long-term relationship. You get comfortable. You take things for granted, and you kind of lose that bond, which makes it really hard. Where people who have long relationships and it works, you gotta respect it for sure, because it takes a lot of work. Because nothing's ever easy and fun. I mean, the 6 months or the first year or two, I mean, that's always fun. But after that, it doesn't matter if you're the hottest chick in the world or the ugliest chick in the world. Things for between in a couple just kind of go. After 2 years, you don't appreciate things, and then that's the one thing you learn after relationships is to appreciate it, appreciate what you had, and it makes a big difference.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like a lot of, at first you're mad, you blame everybody, but after a while you self-reflect, you know, in a bad relationship, or even if it's not a bad relationship, but just didn't work out, it's like, you know, it's too bad, that was a great person, but I should have been smart. A lot of mine was, I was young, and to say I do and get married was really hard for me. Like, I was like, oh, but, you know, I don't want to. And it just
doesn't. Were you ever married?
No.
Were you ever married? You were never married?
No.
Interesting. And Sarah, how about you? Are you married now, or have you been married before?
I'm married. I've been married for 12 years now.
12 years, amazing.
Congratulations on that.
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good run nowadays.
I don't know how and everything. I don't know how long. You know, at the beginning we couldn't.
Well, you probably worked through a lot of the things that didn't go right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, nothing's going to be perfect. There's going to be a lot of things that happen in a relationship.
Exactly. Like, we got married very young. I was like 22. He was like 24. Like, very young. You think it was like, you know, marriage does not come in instructions. I'm telling you that right now. I'm telling you that right now. Marriage does not come with instructions, because you're gonna know. You think like, oh, dating's like, oh yeah, whatever, we can have fun and all that. Once you're married and ball and chain, how they say it. Ooh, you get to know the real side.
Well, that's what I was so afraid of. But I lived like I was married.
Don't get married if you haven't, you know, lived with the person for over a year. That's
but here's the thing.
Oh god.
But my parents are different. I'm sorry before I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. You were talking. This is you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. But here's the thing. My parents are very strict, because the Latino family, the Mexican family, are very strict. Like, no, your mom starts saying stuff to you, especially the dad. My dad never says anything, but my mom was like, oh, if you get married, you know, outside of marriage, like, oh, you're a slut, you're a hoe, you're like that, and like, oh, like, ooh, and you don't want that. And then like, and the sad thing is, you know, they tell their side of the family, like, oh, this and that, blah blah. Half of my cousins are not even married, and it's like, really, I couldn't have been.
Marriage, especially nowadays, is really hard. It's really, really hard. It is. I couldn't imagine getting married nowadays because it's so hard, and I'm just too lazy to work on things like that.
Thank you. I agree with you on that.
Hey, at least you're honest. That's what counts.
I am. Honestly, I'm very happy being single. Like, actually, my ex, it was like, you're the type of person who would be happy being single. And when I finally kind of agree, and it's not in a bad way. It's just, I don't want to be troubled. I do my family. My job is like the family thing for me. I go and I do my job. It's like hanging out with family. And actually, you know, getting on me and Devo's like family to me. So
this is a guy that works 24-hour shifts, guys, taking care of, you know, elderly folks and helping them with the needs that they need. And you know, I mean, this guy, John Stone's a go-getter. So,
well, I appreciate it. I love what I do. It's something I could do the rest of my life.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I understand that, but you know, there's also the loss in that. You know, it's when, and I know, you know, not to bring, I know, but just recently, I believe, didn't you lose one?
I've lost a couple. I lost one of my closest ones.
And it sucks. You know, and that sucks.
It's hard.
I'm not trying to bring that up in there, but that's also.
But it makes you realize that, you know, you never know when somebody's gonna gonna go, so you try to make it the best you can for them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So what you do, like hospice kind of stuff?
I look at family different. I always kind of have, especially now. I mean, I had a weird family to begin with. Like my family, Devo will tell you, is not the very typical.
They're interesting.
Yeah, my parents are very interesting people.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciate friends I do have now.
Ooh, you just gave me an idea, and that's another. I'm gonna throw that on the topic list, folks. Parents. That's gonna be a great.
They just don't understand.
I have a bunch of stories on that for. I have a bunch of stories on that.
Good Lord, I could write a novel. My father would have been me and my father when I was a kid. I was a dick when I was a kid. In my teenage years, me and my father battled it out, and it was funny. Like if I didn't start with him, he'd start with me. It was never violent or anything like that. It'd just be total like trash the shit out of each other type deal.
Of course, of course. Come on, pup. Calm down now.
I mean, me and him could have been like a sitcom, and I'm honestly.
Would want me on the podcast or talk show, whatever you want to call it, whenever you talk about parents. You definitely want me on that.
My father and mother are characters to begin with.
We always, we're keeping parents in the street. That's right. Yeah, I know you and your mom are close as hell. I remember she came into one of my hockey streams. I remember that.
My mum. Oh no, my mum, like, she literally, every one of my streams she came into, she liked it, but then she'll leave because half the shit we talk about, she's like, yeah, nah, I'm not dealing with all that. She'll leave, like, but she'll always come in and leave a like. And I remember, like, I'd tweet at everyone's streams and whatever else, and one day I was at home, like, I was at my mum's house, and I was like, oh, Mike's about to stream, like, I'm just gonna jump in, I'm gonna say hi and whatever else, like, I'll be 2 minutes, mum. She was like, oh, we'll go in there, what's his channel? Come on, let's do this. I was like, alright, mum, it's alright, give me your phone. And that was it, like, went on her phone. She's like, what's going on? I'm Lisa's mum. I was like, go on, mum. So she came straight in and said hello.
Thank you, Jay.
I was like, oh my god, it's my sister's mum. And then that was it, everyone was so confused.
Oh my god, of course. That's great. Yeah, your mom's great. Oh god.
Is she as fiery as you are, Lippy?
Boy.
Yeah. Me and my mum are so alike, it's unreal.
Fiery ladies.
Oh jeez, I'd hate to see a family
And
brawl. Thank God you get along.
We'd get drunk, and then we'd both end up in a fight with someone.
Oh jeez. Mom and daughter bar brawls.
We don't take shit
I could see that being a YouTube thing.
Yeah. Yes,
Lippy and her mom kicking everybody's ass in the bar. Some 350-pound biker gang, they just kicked the shit out of.
Me and my mum. Oh yeah, no, me and my mum went to the pub one day and we was having a couple of drinks. We'd gone shopping, so we thought we'd pop into the pub, we'll have a couple of drinks. Some dude smacked my ass. Well, before I could hit him, my mum did. Next thing you know, me and my mum are fighting these two blokes at the bar.
Oh jeez.
Literally, like, me and my mum are just like punching out with two fellas up to the bar. My mum's amazing though. My mum's amazing. Like, she's like so down to earth for that kind of stuff.
Fool you.
He knows
a beast.
She's
a beast.
About live streaming, folks. He does. Oh, that's funny.
She's a crazy one.
He's like, oh my god, I'm on TV.
I am a bit crazy, yeah. Now you know why Nick loves me so much.
I can't tell if it's a good crazy or a bad crazy yet, but she's crazy.
I don't know,
can I ask Nick
I'm just glad I'm on her good side.
I think it's good crazy.
Lippy's a spark plug for sure.
Yeah.
Do not piss her
I can
off.
tell just by the way
Do
she
not
talks.
piss her
You
off.
don't want to cross her.
It will not go well. It will not go well for you if you piss her off at all.
See, you know what, yeah, yous are only saying this because of the chat we had, like, literally half an hour before starting the stream. That's the only reason yous are saying this.
Well, hey, yeah,
I was saying it before.
Lippy needs like a live stream where it's Lippy's rant.
I got him. What about you? You need a story. I got you.
I told you a headset died. What do you mean, you?
Oh, I forgot. You're right. I asked you a question. He's probably like, damn it, I told him my headset died. All right. Well, we'll get back to Ninja because he's charging his headset, even though you can hear him right now. Now. Let's go down the list. Yes, doggy. That's right, Ghost.
God, that's this game is annoying.
Oh my god. So, Monique.
Yeah.
What type of, what type of stinger you got? I mean, I know that everybody has a stinger in there. I mean, you don't have to go to anything, you know. Don't get upset about it, but I'm just, you know, whatever you'd like to share with us.
I was given an ultimatum once.
Really?
I was in English with a guy right after high school. Me and his sister became best friends, and then I started dating her brother. And one day, I already paid for. This was the day before I paid for all my schooling for college, my medical school, my nursing supplies, everything. I spent almost $1,000 for first year's college nursing program.
Okay.
And the next day, he called me and says, "Hey, can you want to come over and sit with the family and watch a movie? You know, family movie night."
Sure.
I'm like, "Sure." So I go over. This is about 6 months after high school, and we've been dating for 6 months. And after the movie was over, and we all sitting around on the couch talking and having fun, he says, "I don't like the idea you're going to college." I'm like, "What?"
Okay.
He says, "I'm going to give you an ultimatum. I know that college takes up a lot of time and costs a lot of money, but I really like you, so it's either me or nursing school."
Right.
I just spent $1,000 to get to nursing school.
Yeah, that person would get the double middle fingers from me.
And it's from his whole family.
Oh, stop it, babe.
Like, you can talk to me in private. No, this is in front of his whole family. And all I said was one word: college. So that was into my relationship with a guy.
Yeah, yeah. Ultimatums. Yeah, and that's... Jeez. Ultimatums are something that just... I mean, I don't think they ever work in the, you know, in the long run. Like, I don't think they ever did. I mean...
And then to do it from his family just makes it worse, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It does. And it doesn't... And family is another thing, too. And that ties in with, you know, the effects at school, the effects at work and home. You know, because nowadays especially, you know, teenagers are working in college, or, pardon me, in high school. You know, to try to pay for their, like, get that car insurance. My dad always told me, like, you know, car insurance is a good bill, the first good bill if you know, you have a kid ever. I don't have any kids yet, but, you know, one day maybe. But, you know, that's a good bill because that it's an incentive for them to drive. You know what I mean? It gets them on the road, and then you help them out, get them an old car or whatever, get them on the road, have fun, whatever. But all right, pup, come on,
It's over
up on the
there, but
bed.
you don't need it, darling. You've got this one.
So, it is what it is. Well, I don't know. What about Rasta? What about you? Like ultimatums suck.
Lord.
And that just, I mean, give us an example.
Like, here it comes.
Yeah.
Of an ultimatum or just a terrible breakup in general?
No, it doesn't have to be a terrible. It's just a breakup. It's just about a breakup.
Oh, okay. Well, I had a girl about 2.5 years ago, and
take care, Jay.
This is another thing. It's the biggest regret I've ever had was getting back with her.
Oh.
Because we broke up at one point. We took like 6 months off, and then we came rolling back, and I was like, all right, I guess, why not? And then another 6 months together. That. I know. I learned that the hard way. 6 months later, she came over, and, you know, had some fun. We watched some Netflix, whatever. And then she left, and a couple weeks later was like, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, that definitely ain't mine. That definitely ain't mine. So, yeah, no, you definitely cheated on me, because that definitely ain't mine. And, yeah, it was a terrible thing. A couple weeks later, she moved a couple states away, and ended up being pregnant with twins, and I haven't talked to her since.
That's well good. I mean, hey, you dodged twins. You don't have to pay for that.
Amen to that.
Amen to that, especially. What about you guys?
You dodged her.
Yeah,
that's true, and that's true too. And you learn big lessons from stuff like that. You know, and and that stems back for what I was getting at, like the different effects. Like when I remember when I was in, I mean, grade school was one thing. You kind of just buried. I just kind of buried in the in the basement with that, so to speak. I didn't really. When you're that young, it sucks and it's a crush, but it really and it burns. But when you're high school is when it really. When I dated